Next video for the Art of War for Math, we're going to talk about tactics. Now, one of the principal sayings for anybody who ever reads The Art of War, and they've talked about it in movies such as Wall Street and a few other movies that reference The Art of War, is this: only seek battle after, and this is the key word, after victory is won. What does that mean? How can you seek battle only after victory is won? Well, the victory, by the way, is not the physical victory. It's from the planning. It's the mental foresight. So the best generals, Sun Tzu said, never take their sword out, never seek battle with anybody or anything until the planning and the strategy is so good, they've put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat. I want that to sink in, because this has a huge application for math class. Think about when you're deciding what math class to take, and maybe you want to take something a little extra challenging to get credits for you to graduate or for you to get a degree, but the class you pick is just a little bit too difficult. So earlier in another video, I talked about the Goldilocks principle, and that is never choose something that's too easy or too hard. You want something just a bit challenging. So we get rid of this, get rid of this. This is a key for you in math class, not just in the classes you pick, but in the chapters and the assignments you decide to tackle. Because math is a cumulative subject, which means if you're struggling on the earlier lessons, you will get crushed on the advanced lessons. As you move more and more through the book, you better have mastered or been pretty strong at the previous chapters, because it all flows into the next. Now, I covered a point about this, is put yourself beyond the possibility of defeat. So there's Sun Tzu's talking about two moves. First, protect or insulate from defeat. And then step two is then and only then, after number one, seek battle. So what that means is, when you go after a homework assignment or a quiz, make sure that A, you've mastered all the prior material that leads up to that, but B, that you've studied all the concepts that could be covered on a test. And I'll give you an example of this. I had an algebra student that was good at one unknown equations, one step and two step, but could only do it with integers. And the comment he made was, I'm not that good at fractions and two-step equations, but that rarely ever comes up in my class. Well, guess what? Quiz came the next day, and out of the 20 problems, 7 of them had fractions. So simply by not taking another hour or two to study fractions and two unknown equations, this student took himself down almost 2 grades. And so to go back to this principle, protect yourself from defeat, is some people try to prepare for certain situations, whether it's sports and business and school. I think A, B, and C will happen, instead of just saying, what are all the possibilities that could happen in the next battle? So here's the complete set of everything that could happen. We got A, we got B, we got C, we got D. Instead of thinking, oh, it may be A or C or B, just prepare for all of these. Because by doing that, you've covered all your bases and you have insulated yourself from defeat. Because the key here, and I know I've covered this in prior videos, but I want to hammer this point home. There's 2 ways you lose, by the way, in math class. One is unprepared. You just don't know the material. Two is you take yourself out of the game. So this is also called, I'm going to dash here, unforced errors. So there's a great book, and the title escapes me, but I talked about it in a previous video. where they talk about the best tennis and ping pong players. And the difference between pros and amateurs is this. Amateurs will give away points, meaning they might hit the ball into the net or they might hit the ball off the table. So they haven't even challenged their opponent. They just hit a bad ball, automatically gave their opponent the point. The pros protect from unforced errors. So if they're going to get beat, they're going to make you beat them. They don't ever give away points by silly mistakes or errors that they caused. Now, there's some things in this world that are completely out of your control. You do what you can, but some of it's out of your control. But those are in your control. And I'll give you an example. Here's an unforced error. I had a student in algebra take a test, and they got all the way to the end. They knew the formula, they knew the problem, knew everything beautifully with the math. They get to the end, and there's 4 multiple choice answers, and their answer doesn't match any of them. And it turned out that they missed a minus sign. So a negative negative equals a positive. And if they would just have taken 5 seconds, they would have caught that in the 4th step and would have matched up their answer. But they rushed through it and didn't check their work. That is an unforced error. You have completely under your control to check your work. You have completely under your control what material you study. You have completely under your control the sleep you get, the diet you take, and the approach you take. And another thing, you may not always get friends that accept you, but you have completely under your control the ability to approach 2 people. Smartest person in your class, and 2, there is always a super networker. And I know I covered this before, but again, I want to talk about things in your control, because this person can probably automatically help you level up your grade. This person knows somebody that can help you level up your grade. So the key here in Sun Tzu's Art of War is only seek, and we can change battle with math quizzes or assignments. Only start these when you have moved yourself out of the possibility of defeat. Then, and only then, when you're good and ready, Sun Tzu's quote was, "You flash forth from the topmost heights of heaven." That's when you seek battle. And battle means we're going to go after a math quiz, homework problem, whatever. And if you're not forced into a test and you have time, don't start too early. Make sure you have time to prepare. So protect yourself from defeat, and then and only then do you seek battle. So I want to cover one more principle here in the book. I'm on chapter 4. The great generals, and we're going to go back to this, don't just win. So it's not, there's 3 types of people in any competition or battle. There's losers, there's winners who struggle, right? Everything's a struggle or a battle. And then there's those that win with ease. This is who Sun Tzu is preaching about you becoming. So you want to get so prepared and so ready for the possibility in advance that when you walk into that test or that quiz or that homework assignment, it's easy. There's no stress, there's no anxiety, there's no locking up. You can immediately open the quiz, open the homework, look at it and say, yep, I've done that before about 10, 15, 20 times. Because the common misconception about math students is you have to be born smart, or you have to be born into a rich family who can get you the resources. Being born smart, sure, there's a few percent, and yes, it's nice to have money where you can buy resources, but for most of the rest of us, it's a different ball game. And this and this and this can all be controlled by us. None of that is out of our control. So the key here when we talk about this is I've covered this a bit too, iteration. Go get a practice test when you think you're ready. When you think you've studied enough, take it. Figure out your score. Maybe you get 7 right, 3 wrong. Instantly go to the 3 wrong and figure out what you got wrong. Go back to those concepts in the book, study them again. Now go take another test. So this is iteration 2. Do the same thing. Maybe you got 8 right, 2 wrong. Study the 2, go back, iteration 3. When you repeat this process over and over and over again, by the 4th or 5th iteration, you're almost unbeatable. You're almost to the point here where you've insulated yourself from any defeat. And that's what I want to get at is One of the ACT, SAT exam takers that I know, top 1% test taker, he owns a business and he takes these exams every year to make sure he's covered all the material in his software. This guy's unbeatable. And this is what he does. It's not like the guy, smart guy, but he's not like a nuke level genius like an Einstein. He's made money from his business, but when he started this, he didn't have a lot of money. But iteration is what got him where he is. He iterated so much, he covered all the angles. I don't know if you've ever seen those crime movies or those movies where there's always that person that's clever and they talk about, oh, that guy's got all the angles covered or she's got all the angles covered. That's what he's doing, just over and over and over and over again. And he even does this without studying. He'll just do the first 2 iterations. He doesn't even study. Just he wants to know what material is going to be thrown at him. So he figures out A, B, C, D, E, gets all the subsets, and then he goes and studies it because nothing else matters. He's covered his bases. So to wrap this video up for Art of War for Math Tactics is, you never seek battle, challenges, anything until you've prepared mentally and physically for what's coming up. Protect yourself from defeat. And what that means is some things will come up you never could have thought of. They're called black swans. That's fine. But a lot of this, we talked about unforced errors and inversion. Don't take yourself out of the game. Sleep, diet, who you talk to, your network, all that stuff, checking your work, that is all under your control. And that will help you master math. Thank you for watching.